What's going on, YouTube? So for the longest time, Volkswagen was focused on sedans. But as the US market shifted towards crossovers, Volkswagen developed this Atlas specifically for American taste. Now, a few years later, it's time for an extensive refresh, which is what we're standing next to right now. But with more competition than ever before, does this 2021 Atlas have what it takes? Let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so let's kick things off here with the refreshed exterior because that's going to be the most noticeable change for 2021. Now, we showed you guys the Cross Sport Atlas about 2 months ago, and basically those same changes are here on the 3-row Atlas now. So now you've got 3 large chrome bars that run right through it, and then down here at the bottom they have also redesigned this area. This will always be silver, even on the models that don't have the silver exterior. So it kind of just gives it like a more rugged look down here. Now, of course, no refresh would be complete without some updated lighting as well. So now what you're looking at is going to be standard full LED headlights across every single trim level, including the really nice looking daytime running lights. However, the turn signal is still incandescent. And then the other thing worth noting is that you no longer have fog lights on any version of the Atlas. Now, squatting down here at your wheels, of course, the 2021 refresh is going to introduce some new wheel designs, and Volkswagen continues to offer an absolute ton of different options. Now, I'm not going to rattle them all off, but you will start out with an 18-inch alloy, and then most of your trim levels, they're going to come with a 20-inch alloy, including this top-end SEL Premium with the exclusive black contrast design. Now, you can even get 21-inch alloys if you go for the SEL with the R-Line package, which is certainly a very, very rare thing for this class of vehicle. And then moving on up here to our mirrors, you're going to notice you have standard heating. You also have standard blind spot monitoring, which is a nice touch. And then you'll have power folding if you choose the SEL Premium.
Alrighty, so checking out the rear design of this 2021 Atlas, you are going to still have that same boxy design as you've always had with the Atlas, except it is styled up a little bit for this refresh. Now, what they've changed back here, it is pretty minimal, but it does make for a good look. So they've changed out these taillights to be fully LED, even the turn signal is going to be LED. And then down below, we are going to have dual faux exhaust tips across all of the models. And then if you go for that R-Line model, it's actually going to be a quad exhaust tip setup, and all of this black trim around the vehicle will be swapped out for body color trim. Now, unlike some of the rivals, this Volkswagen Atlas is not going to come standard with the entire suite of safety systems on all of the trim levels. However, it does come standard with forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection. Now, if you want some of the higher end safety systems, you're going to have to go for at least the SE with Tech package, which throws in adaptive cruise control. And then if you go for the SEL, that's going to also throw in lane keeping assist, auto high beam headlights, and traffic jam assist. Well, guys, that sums up the refreshed exterior styling. So let's go ahead and hop inside, see what they've done there before we take it out on a spin.
So first, walking up to the 2021 Atlas, you're going to have a change right off the bat, and that is that Volkswagen has souped up this key fob. So as you can see, they put some real metal trim across the top and the bottom, which gives it a lot more heft than before, and it looks a lot more premium. Now, as far as smart entry, that's going to be standard on the SE and up, and you'll also have remote start if you go for the SE technology and up. And again, inside the vehicle itself, like most Volkswagen models, you'll just grab behind the handle and it will unlock. Your mirrors will also electrically fold out. Now, taking a first look inside of this cabin, as you can see, it is mostly the same as what it was last year. However, there are actually more things that have changed than what initially meets the eye. Now, as far as your different material and color combinations, what you'll be looking at is a cloth seat on the base model only. When you go up for the SE or above, that's where you'll get VTEX leatherette and your choice of black or beige colors. Finally, when you get to this SEL Premium, that's where you'll get real leather seating, and that comes in black, beige, or brown. And as you can see, we have a nice contrast design. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is very nicely finished. You have leather all through this armrest area with a nice color contrast stitching above it. This top part is soft touch, and you have a faux wood trim that runs through here. Of course, all four of your windows are going to be one-touch automatic. And then heading down here to your seats, all but the very base model are going to have the 10-way power adjusting seat with 2-way lumbar support. And then SEL will also throw in the memory seating. And like I already mentioned, this is real leather. Definitely has a very attractive design. I really like the contrast along the bolsters. So like I already mentioned, the main parts of the design have not changed for 2021, so neither have the materials. So you still have nice materials across the top. This is going to be a soft touch plastic with a stitching detail. You have more of this faux wood trim that runs through the middle here. And then when you drop down to your lower areas, these are going to be hard touch, but everything does fit together in that typical, really solid Volkswagen way. Now as far as push button start, that's going to be standard on all but the base model. Now what you are greeted with upon startup is going to be your 10-inch Volkswagen digital cockpit system. This is going to come on the SEL and up, otherwise you have a more traditional gauge setup. But basically, as you probably know, like in other Volkswagen products, this is kind of a miniaturized version of Audi's virtual cockpit. It has most of the same features, so you can do things like scroll through a bunch of different types of information. You can minimize your gauges to have like a full screen navigation map when that is available, since it looks like we don't have the SD card installed. But anyways, coming back to the steering wheel, of course you do have electric power assisted steering. And we have a really nice upgrade to the steering wheel for 2021. As you can see, it's got the newest Volkswagen emblem, newest design. It is flat bottom and has a really nice smooth leather on it. Additionally, you do have manual tilt and telescoping, and you also have heating on the SEL trim and up. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about interior storage, because that is definitely one of the most important areas in a 3-row crossover. Now, opening up this center console, you're going to be really impressed by how much space you find inside. This is an absolutely massive amount of space. It kind of reminds me of what you see in like a Tahoe or something like that. Definitely bigger than in the Highlander we were recently in. Nevertheless, we do have a nice felt lining and a USB port. Though I did forget the Burger King coupons to stick in there and see how many could fit. It would be a lot. Up in front of that, we have our 2 cup holders. We also have ambient lighting inside for the SEL Premium. And then up in front of that, we have another large bin that slopes downward. We have some connections down at the bottom, but this rubber mat here actually doubles as a wireless phone charging pad, and that's on all but the base model, so that's certainly a nice touch. Now, as far as the shifter, this is just your traditional shifter. So you pull back for drive, go to the right to do some manual shifting right here, but there are no paddle shifters. And then when we go into reverse, you're going to be greeted by this standard backup camera. It does have active trajectory as well as parking sensors on the majority of the trim levels. However, on this specific SEL Premium, we actually have a 360-degree camera system. It's not the default, so you're just going to press the menu, and when you do that, that's where you'll be greeted with the 360 view as well as the traditional view and your other options over there. And then back behind the shifter, you have your electronic parking brake. You also have your modes for the all-wheel drive system. And then we have the parking assistant, which is also part of the SEL Premium's 360-degree camera system. Alright, now bouncing on up here to our climate controls. This is going to be the 3-zone automatic climate setup that comes on all but the very base trim level. And as you can see, it retains the same really simple controls from the 2020 model. So you just have 3 big knobs, all your zones across the top there. Additionally, we have 3-stage heated seats. Those come on the SE and up, and then the SEL Premium is the only model to come with the 3-stage ventilation. Alright, so now we are up here at our audio system. So of course, this is the SEL Premium, so it does have the finest audio system. It's got a 480 watt 12 speaker Fender audio system instead of the 6-speaker sound system that all the other models have. So let's go ahead and sample it. Yeah, sound quality of this system is excellent, especially for a mainstream crossover. Okay, so now we are here at the display. So this hasn't really changed a whole lot for 2021. You'll still be looking at an 8-inch display on most of the models, except for the very base model that's going to have a 6.5-inch display instead. You're also probably noticing that there is a proximity sensor that is still around, so when you reach for it, the menus will expand throughout the entire system. Now, I'm not going to go through everything on a granular basis. However, I will go ahead and mention that navigation is standard on the SEL trim level and higher. Once again, we do not have the SD card installed on this model. And you will also find Android Auto and Apple CarPlay standard across every single trim. Now up above that, you will notice another big storage bin on top of the dashboard. You will also find an auto dimming mirror actually standard on every single trim level, so that's a nice touch. And then finally, you have this gigantic panoramic moonroof. And this comes on the SEL trim level and higher, so it's actually on the mid-level version, so that's certainly a nice touch. And as you can see, it is absolutely gigantic.
Alrighty, so getting in this Atlas's rear seat, I have to say the first thing that shocks me is just how much space. It feels very open back here, and that's obviously a very important feature for any 3-row. Now, as far as your actual specs are going to come in, you're going to have 37 inches of rear legroom and 40 inches of rear headroom, which does put it roughly in line with what its competitors offers, like the Kia Telluride. And sitting behind rear seating position, definitely not going to have any issues. I probably have a foot, if not a foot and a half of rear space, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. So certainly a very comfortable amount of space and tons of headroom back here. Now, as far as the feature set is concerned, you are going to have standard vents across all of the models, and you do also have your own climate controls back here. In addition to that, the SEL Premium will throw in 3-stage heated rear seats, as well as you have 2 smart charging USB ports and a household outlet on this high-end model. Now, we do have the captain's chairs on this particular model as well, and they are available on most of the trim levels, which is good news for those of you who want that feature. And then here at the door trim, we do also have a rear window sunshade on the SE trims and higher. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out the 3rd row. Now, Volkswagen has made it really simple to get back here, so all I have to do is locate this little lever right here, and that will lift the seat up and allow you to fold it out of, slide it out of the way. Now, Volkswagen actually does say that you can keep a car seat in here, so that is a very important thing for those of you who have children. But going ahead and getting back here, wow. First sitting back here, I have to say this is a very impressive 3rd row. There is a lot of space. You're going to come in at 34 inches of rear legroom and 38 inches of rear headroom, which is much larger than most of the rivals like the Toyota Highlander, and you can definitely feel that back here. This seat is scooted all the way back, and I still have an inch or so of legroom, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat, so this is certainly not even bad for a full-grown adult. And as far as the feature set, you do have 2 small cup holders, a little storage bin, vents along the side, and lighting up top. Now walking up to the tailgate, Volkswagen does throw in a Power One on the SE trims and higher. If you go for the SE Tech, it will also be hands-free, so just wave your foot under the bumper to open. And once inside of this cargo area, I have to say this is probably one of the most impressive features about this Atlas because it has a massive amount of space back here. Behind the third row seats, you're going to find 21 cubic feet of space. If you fold them, it's going to go to 56 cubic feet, and if you fold all of them, it's going to go all the way up to 97 cubic feet of space, which is much larger than most of the rivals like the Toyota Highlander and Kia Telluride. Like I said, that's probably one of your biggest benefits for going for this Atlas model. Now, as far as how they finished it back here, it is finished pretty nicely. We have carpeting along the floor, and up underneath of the floorboard itself, we do have a little bit of additional space and a spare tire. And to fold the third row itself, Volkswagen has made it easy. All you have to do is locate this little lever here and fold it right down. Now here at the passenger seat on this SEL Premium, it is going to be power adjusting. And in front of the passenger, we do have a good sized glove box. It's not super deep, but it does have a CD player inside. A lot of you will be happy about that. And up top, we have an absolutely massive sun visor. It's kind of ridiculously big, and it does have a light and LED mirror, or LED light and mirror, and it does also detach and extend.
Just like that, we're up to 60. So as you can probably tell by that sound, this is going to be the V6 version of the Atlas. Now, one of the big things for this 2021 refresh is that you actually have the 4-cylinder. It's available now on all the trims, where previously it was just reserved for the bottom trims, and it also was front-wheel drive only. Now it's expanded out to all-wheel drive, so they're just making that a lot more available. But as far as this, if you choose to go for the V6, that's where you're going to get the most power, obviously. So 276 horsepower, 266 pound-feet of torque from the 3.5-liter VR6.
Yeah, and if you want to go for that 2-liter engine option, it's actually not going to be too bad on the power ratings. It's a 2-liter turbo i4, 235 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. And like Drew said, it is standard on all the trims besides the R-Line versions. Or you can option on the V6 for $1,800. I don't know if you mentioned that or not, but $1,800 is your price premium for the V6. But more so than any type of engine spec or anything is the just sheer importance of it being comfortable on the highway. That's why we chose this particular route to be on the highway, is because this really highlights what this Atlas is good at. It's not meant to be a super fast vehicle, but it's meant to be a highway cruiser that really just does it exceptionally well. And I have to say, extremely impressed. Honestly, this is an extremely rough road, and it's quiet.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's quiet in here, and you can feel nothing. So, really have to applaud Volkswagen with what they've done here and making it very comfortable. And also the quietness level in here. So I'll go ahead and get a sound level meter reading so we can compare it to stuff like the Highlander. 56 miles an hour. Looks like we're going to be sitting at, it switched on me, about 57.9 decibels.
Wow.
So that's really good. New Circle Road is a very loud road. For those of you
extra wind today as well.
And I think the Highlander was roughly around 56, but we were going quite a bit slower. So that's definitely something to consider.
Now I guess we can go ahead and talk about kind of where this stands dynamically in the class. Basically the Atlas she's a softie. This is, having comfort as the paramount issue of this vehicle. So they've tuned everything to definitely be soft and smooth. So your suspension is definitely, like I said, it's very soft. You do have body roll, of course, present, like in most of the class, but a little bit more than I would say is average. And your steering is very, very light. Even at parking lot speeds, I mean, like, it is incredibly easy to turn. This is just so maneuverable for something that's, frankly, this is larger than the average thing in the class. Yeah. It's absolutely massive, but really it doesn't feel like it's so big.
It just feels like it floats. I guess that would probably be the best way to describe it. It just kind of floats, kind of like those old Buicks, where you kind of like bounce over the bumps and everything to make it smooth, which, is something that a lot of people probably are looking for in this class.
Now, on board on this 2021 Atlas is going to be an 8-speed automatic transmission, very similar to what most of the competition offers. And shifts are fast and smooth. I mean, it's absolutely, everything that you would expect for a modern transmission. Responds nicely to when you change your power demands. Like I said, very smooth and comfortable, just like everything else in this vehicle.
And as far as your drivetrains, it's going to be front-wheel drive standard, optional all-wheel drive, and like Drew mentioned a little earlier in the drive, the 2-liter engine is now newly available with all-wheel drive for this refresh year.
Now we're sitting here at this stop light, so we have the auto start stop system engaged, so we'll see how quickly it restarts. Pretty good. Definitely restarts very quickly. I try to be as quick as possible to test it out. Didn't really notice any hesitations or anything like that.
And I guess that does lead us into a pretty important part of this vehicle, which is going to be the fuel economy. Now I'll just go ahead and say it, but that's today's big airball, is going to be this fuel economy figure. This Atlas is pretty bad in the fuel economy ratings compared to some of its modern rivals like the new Highlander. So it's going to come in for this one as tested. So this is the V6 all-wheel drive. That's going to come in at 16 city, 22 highway, 18 combined. So that's about 5. I think that's 5 mpg worse than the Toyota Highlander. Now, if you go for that 2-liter engine, it's going to be 22 combined. So that increases it quite a bit, but it's still just not good fuel economy. Even from the 4-cylinder engine, it's just considerably worse than some of the competition. So that's just our airball for today. However, since we do have the airball and slam dunk thing, I want to talk about this vehicle's slam dunk, and we talked about this earlier. We think that it's the space.
Obvious. It's obvious,
yeah, it's a pretty obvious thing. This Atlas just knocks it out of the park when it comes to space. You have a ton of space in the back, ridiculous amounts of cargo space, and it just is very clear what they went for when they designed this vehicle to make it spacious and comfortable.
So overall, this 2021 refresh of the Atlas really doesn't change what this vehicle has always been about since it first debuted, and that is a uncompromising view of comfort and space. That's what Volkswagen set out to accomplish, and that's what they absolutely did. Now this refresh just adds some more modern touches and just makes the package a little bit better overall. But if your biggest priority is comfort and space and you're shopping for a 3-row crossover, then you definitely should pay your Volkswagen dealership a visit.
Alrighty, and now let's go ahead and discuss the pricing for this 2021 Atlas. So these below MSRPs are going to be for the 2-liter engine with front-wheel drive. So the S is going to start at $31,545. SE is $34,895. SE Tech $36,895. SEL $42,395. SEL Premium $47,195, and those two top trims do come standard with all-wheel drive. Now we do have the SEL V6 with all-wheel drive, so $48,995 is our base price, plus a few options. So we have the dual second row captain's chairs for $695, as well as some floor mats for $285, a privacy cover for $200, and then the destination charge of $1,020 brings this one to a fully loaded price of $51,195, which I have to say is roughly in line with the fully loaded versions of like the Toyota Highlander. It is still quite a little bit more expensive than the Telluride and Palisade, but you are getting a lot here. You're getting a lot of space, and it's definitely something to check out.
Well guys, that sums up this review of the 2021 Volkswagen Atlas SEL Premium. If you made it this far in the video, hopefully that means you enjoyed it at least a little bit, so be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.